The football world has been hit by heartbreaking news. Jorge Messi, the father of Argentine football superstar Lionel Messi and one of the most influential figures behind his legendary career, has reportedly died at the age of 68. Jorge Messi passed away on Friday night, August 7, 2026, local time, at a medical clinic in Rosario, Argentina, after undergoing treatment for a health condition he had been battling for some time. His passing marks a deeply painful moment for Lionel Messi and the entire Messi family. For decades, Jorge was not only Lionel's father, but also one of the people who stood closest to him throughout his extraordinary journey from a young boy in Rosario to one of the greatest footballers the world has ever seen. According to reports from Marca, Jorge had been receiving medical care for an extended period. During the final months of his life, his treatment alternated between a medical facility in Rosario and the family home, where he could remain close to his loved ones. He was surrounded and supported by members of his family, including his wife, Celia, and their children, Rodrigo, Matias, and Maria Sol. For Lionel Messi, the loss is particularly painful because Jorge had been a constant presence throughout virtually every major chapter of his life. Although the world knows Lionel Messi as a football icon, Ballon d'Or winner, World Cup champion, and one of the most decorated players in football history, his journey began far away from the biggest stadiums in Europe. It began in Rosario, Argentina, where a young Lionel developed an extraordinary passion and talent for football. Jorge Messi played an important role during those early years. He supported his son's ambitions and remained closely involved as Lionel's football career began to develop. When the opportunity eventually came for Lionel to move to Spain and join Barcelona's youth system, Jorge remained an important figure in his son's life. The move represented an enormous turning point for the Messi family. Lionel was still a young boy when he left Argentina to pursue his football dream, and having the support of his family was crucial during such a major transition. Over the years, Lionel's talent continued to grow. He progressed through Barcelona's youth academy before eventually making his way into the first team. From there, his career exploded. He became a global superstar, won countless trophies, broke numerous records, and established himself as one of the greatest players to ever play the sport. Throughout that journey, Jorge remained close to him. Jorge Messi's influence on Lionel's career went beyond that of a typical parent. For many years, Jorge also served as Lionel's agent, helping manage important aspects of his son's professional career. That meant father and son were connected not only through their family relationship, but also through the complicated world of professional football. From contract negotiations and career decisions to dealing with the intense media attention surrounding Lionel, Jorge was frequently involved behind the scenes. While Lionel became the face of one of the world's biggest sports, Jorge often worked away from the spotlight. His role was not always visible to fans, but his presence was an important part of Lionel's journey. For decades, the two remained closely connected as Lionel's career continued to reach new heights. Lionel Messi was known to have spent time with his father following the World Cup before returning to his club commitments with Inter Miami. The time they shared together became especially meaningful given Jorge's health situation. Messi had recently returned to action with Inter Miami approximately 1 week before the news of his father's death emerged. Despite his demanding football schedule, family remained an important part of Messi's life, particularly during difficult periods. The Argentine superstar has always maintained a strong connection with his family, and Jorge's influence could be seen throughout his career. Now, the memories of those final moments together are likely to become some of the most precious memories Lionel will carry with him. Jorge Messi's health had previously become a subject of public attention after Lionel Messi was seen crying during Argentina's 2026 World Cup campaign. Messi became emotional while celebrating his first goal in Argentina's opening match against Algeria. The moment was particularly striking because Messi had just scored a hat-trick in the match. Yet his celebration was overshadowed by the tears visible on his face. Fans around the world immediately began wondering what had caused such an emotional reaction. After the match, Messi addressed the moment during a press conference. He explained that his tears were not related to football itself and revealed that he had been going through some difficult and complicated days. His comments immediately attracted attention because Messi rarely discusses his personal struggles publicly. A few days later, Messi's family released information about Jorge's health, confirming that Lionel's father was receiving medical treatment. At the time, the family appeared to keep many details private, choosing to focus on Jorge's treatment and the family's well-being. Looking back, the emotional World Cup moment takes on an even deeper meaning. Jorge Messi was there for Lionel's transformation from a talented child in Rosario into an international football phenomenon. He witnessed the early days when Lionel was simply a young boy with an extraordinary love for the game. He was there when Lionel made the difficult move to Spain. He watched his son develop at Barcelona and eventually become one of the most important players in the club's history. He witnessed Lionel lift domestic trophies, European titles, individual awards, and countless other honors. And perhaps most importantly, Jorge was able to see Lionel achieve the dream that had eluded him for years with Argentina, winning the FIFA World Cup. For Lionel Messi, the 2022 World Cup triumph in Qatar was one of the defining moments of his career. But behind that historic achievement was a family that had supported him throughout the difficult years. Jorge was one of the people who had witnessed that entire journey from the beginning. Jorge Messi's death is also particularly significant because of his connection to Rosario, the city where Lionel was born and where his football story began. Rosario holds a special place in the Messi family's history. It was there that Lionel first developed his passion for football. It was there that his talent began attracting attention. And it was there that his journey toward becoming a global superstar started. Following Jorge's death, Newell's Old Boys, the club closely associated with Lionel Messi's childhood, expressed its condolences. The club shared a message on Instagram mourning Jorge and remembering him as an important figure connected to the Messi family story. Atletico Newell's Old Boys says goodbye with deep sadness to Jorge Messi, who passed away at the age of 68 in the city of Rosario, the club said in its statement. The message reflected the connection between Jorge, Lionel, and the city that played such an important role in their lives. Lionel Messi has experienced almost every emotion football can offer. He has celebrated historic victories, endured painful defeats, lifted trophies in front of millions of fans, and carried the enormous expectations of an entire nation. But the loss of a parent is a different kind of experience. No trophy can replace a father. No victory can erase the pain of losing someone who has been there since childhood. For Lionel, Jorge was part of the foundation upon which his extraordinary career was built. The world may remember Messi for his goals, assists, trophies, records, and unforgettable moments on the pitch. But behind the football legend was a son, and behind that son was a father who supported him through some of the most important moments of his life. Jorge Messi leaves behind a legacy that will forever be connected to one of the greatest football careers in history. His name may not appear on the score sheets, and he was rarely the person standing under the stadium lights when Lionel lifted another trophy. But his influence was present throughout the journey. From Rosario to Barcelona, from Argentina's national team to Inter Miami, Jorge witnessed his son's transformation into a global icon. He was there through the triumphs, the disappointments, the controversies, and the unforgettable victories. His contribution to Lionel's life cannot be measured by trophies alone. It can be measured through decades of support, guidance, sacrifice, and family. Now, Lionel Messi faces one of the most difficult moments of his life. The football world will undoubtedly continue to watch his journey on the pitch, but behind the famous number 10 and the legendary name is a grieving son saying goodbye to his father. Jorge Messi may no longer be physically present beside Lionel, but the influence he had on his son's life will remain. Every goal, every achievement, and every memory from Lionel's remarkable journey will carry a part of the story they shared together. For a man who spent decades helping his son chase an impossible dream, Jorge Messi leaves behind perhaps the greatest legacy a father could have, watching his child become everything he dreamed he could be. Rest in peace, Jorge Messi.